2. Hey guys, welcome to Headbanger's Kitchen. We've got a great show for you today. We're cooking up Uncle Sunny's mac and cheese. And who's Uncle Sunny, you ask? Well, we're going to have to wait and find out from our guest, Albatross, the horror metal band from Mumbai. So let's go and make that mac and cheese. So to make Uncle Sunny's mac and cheese, we're going to need about 200 grams of macaroni, 3 cups of your favorite cheese, bacon, 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, some breadcrumbs, mustard powder, freshly ground pepper, salt, fresh nutmeg or powdered, cayenne pepper, fresh thyme, and 2 cups of milk. Alright, so we're going to start making our mac and cheese by heating some butter in the saucepan. So we're going to take about 2 tablespoons of butter. I've taken a wee bit more, and we're going to heat that up in our pan. And you're going to do this on a slightly lower flame so that the butter just melts nice and slow. So I've got my butter melted in the pan now, and you can hear the sizzle. That's kind of when we add the flour to it. So here we're adding the flour to the butter. You can already hear it sizzling, and that's the sound you want to hear. And we add that in and we whisk in our flour. You can take it off the gas if it's getting too hot, because you don't want that to burn. But you just want to sort of cook the flour for a bit, for about 3 to 4 minutes tops. Now to our flour and butter, we're going to add some of our spices, because I checked on the internet and it said certain spices, blend well with oil. So we're going to put in some fresh thyme, some cayenne pepper, and if you want it spicier, you can put a lot more of this. I'm putting a little bit because it's, I don't like my food too spicy. And we're also going to grate in some fresh nutmeg. And if you don't have fresh nutmeg, you can always use the powdered stuff. And you whisk all of these in. Now that the flour has cooked for about 3 to 4 minutes, we're going to add in 2 cups of milk. And remember to stir that in, because you don't want to have any lumps. You want a nice, smooth, creamy sauce. Now I'm going to season the sauce with some freshly ground pepper, some mustard powder, and a spoonful of salt. And remember to keep stirring. So now we're going to add in the cheese to this white sauce, and we made sure to turn off the gas, because the cheese will sort of melt in and cook any which way. You can, however, use whatever cheese you like. The world is your playground. So just put in whatever cheese you like. 2 cheeses, 3 cheeses, 4 cheeses. I've even seen a 7 cheese macaroni and cheese. So mine's a 2 cheese mac and cheese. I'm using some cheddar and some mozzarella. And I'm going to put that in now. I'm putting in about 150 grams of cheese. You can put more if you want it creamier and cheesier. And I'm going to whisk this in, and the cheese will melt and make a rich, creamy sauce. And now that our sauce is coming together nicely, we're going to taste it before adding our meat and macaroni. That is delicious and cheesy. And now we're going to add in our macaroni to the white sauce. And remember to cook your macaroni al dente, so that it's got a little bit of a bite to it, because we're going to put it in the oven later and it will cook a little bit more. So this was cooked for about 7 minutes in boiling water. Another tip to remember is add the macaroni only after the water has started boiling. And just mix that in well. You can see it's a delicious looking creamy sauce. Wow, I'm hungry already. Hungry as hell. Nothing is complete without bacon. So we're going to add some bacon to this macaroni and cheese. But if you're vegetarian, just skip this step. You don't need bacon. However, you can add roasted bell peppers or anything else that you like. So we're adding the bacon now. Just gonna mix that in. And remember, if you're adding bacon to this, you can go easy on the salt, because bacon has salt any which way. So we've mixed in our bacon, and this mac and cheese is pretty much ready to eat right now. If you want, but I'm going to take it a step further and put it in the oven. So we're going to get our mac and cheese ready for the oven now. So we're going to put it in a baking dish. And like I said, you can eat this as it is. You don't need to do this step, but I just want to give it that extra kick. So spread it evenly in your baking dish. Now we're going to cover this with some breadcrumbs and some more cheese. And I've been told the breadcrumbs are the secret to a crispy mac and cheese crust. So I'm going to sprinkle on some breadcrumbs now. But if you don't have breadcrumbs, no problem, you can do without them. And then we're going to cover this with some more cheese. And you can put as much cheese as you like. There. Uncle Sunny's mac and cheese is ready to go into the oven. And remember, just cook it till the top gets nice and golden brown. About 20 minutes should do it on a very high temperature. Let's go put this in the oven. So now that we've got the mac and cheese in the oven, it's time to grill up some delicious chicken to go with that mac and cheese. That's what makes Uncle Sunny's mac and cheese special. So here I've got some chicken that I've marinated for about 2 or 3 hours in olive oil, garlic salt, freshly ground pepper, cayenne pepper, fresh rosemary and fresh thyme. And I'm just going to cook this on a really high flame and sear it on my grilling pan and just cook it, and it's going to be delicious right there with the mac and cheese. You can alternatively chop this up after cooking it and put it in the mac and cheese and then bake it. The world is your oyster, playground, whatever. So first I'm going to put a little bit of butter in our grill pan. You can alternatively use olive oil if you are watching your weight, or use Nutrilite butter like I am. Yeah, you want that butter to sizzle. Butter makes everything taste good. So let's put in our chicken that I've marinated. Look at that, that's a huge breast. Must have been a big titty bird. And you want to hear that chicken sizzle. Oh, that sound and that smell. And I'm going to cook these on a high flame because I want it to get a nice caramelized crust over the outside of the chicken. It's so delicious. And while the chicken is cooking, I'm going to quickly cut up some bread that we're also going to toast and serve with the mac and cheese. And this is delicious, soft, fresh bread from my bakery. Well, not my bakery, the bakery that's near my house. And we're just going to butter these up. Now that the bread is buttered, it's time to turn these breasts. Oh, look at that, the lovely brown color. It's just the nice kind of crust I'm looking for. Oh wow, the chicken is definitely done. So our chicken is done, and while this rests, we're going to just toast up that lovely bread. And just put the bread on the pan as it is, let it get that flavor of the chicken, the rosemary, the thyme. It's a really delicious tasting bread. It just lifts the flavor of regular bread so much. Okay, so let's turn that bread over now. Oh, and it's got nice and toasty. And the butter has melted and it's going to have all that delicious flavor in it. So the bread's nicely toasted, and we're going to wait for that delicious mac and cheese to go a nice shade of golden brown on the top. We'll be right back. So Uncle Sunny's mac and cheese is done, and as you can see, there's a delicious golden brown crust on it. And it smells amazing. So we're just going to wait for Albatross to come and taste Uncle Sunny's mac and cheese. Welcome back to Headbanger's Kitchen, and I'm here with our guests, the pioneers of the horror metal genre in India, Riju and Bipro from Albatross. Yeah! Welcome to the show, guys. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, sure.
So I got to ask you, you have a new album, a new EP coming out.
A new split album actually. It is a split with this US based band called Vestal Claret, and we have 4 songs and they have one mega 17-minute long song, and so it is a split album.
Okay, so your split album, The Kissing Flies,
The Kissing Flies Black Priest, that is what it is known as.
Your album is Kissing Flies,
Yes,
right? Yes.
yes.
So let's talk about the Kissing Flies.
Right.
What's the story about the Kissing Flies?
The Kissing Flies, again, like Dinner Is You, like the first album, it is a concept album. It is about this one guy who's returning to the place of his birth after a time span of around 16 years. And once he returns to the place, he sees that the whole town is dilapidated, it's crumbling, it's falling into pieces, and even people are decaying, if that is possible. They are not decaying, they are walking with a slump in their shoulders.
Dull people.
They are dull. They're not dull.
Devoid
They're
of
not
life,
boring
basically.
people. Yeah.
Okay, so devoid of life.
Devoid of life. So so he follows them, and everybody is marching in a line into the local tavern. So once he goes there, he sees that the tavern is full of people, and but yet there is like utter silence within the tavern. So he looks around. There is nobody he can speak to until he spots this man he knew from when he was a kid, a man known as Uncle Sunny. So he goes to Uncle Sunny and asks him, what has happened to this? Yeah, 16 years it's been, Uncle Sunny say I. So Uncle Sunny replies that ever since the mayor of the town died, the town is falling into pieces. The mayor was the soul of the town. His name is Mayor Raptor, and the whole town was named after him. So it's Raptorsville. This guy, he doesn't fall for such an explanation. How can the demise of one particular person cause the demise of the entire town? So he rises to leave, and which is when Uncle Sunny delivers his prophetic warning. Listen to these words, for they will serve you well. By entering this town, you have opened the gates of hell. Heed my words, I tell you no lies. This town is dying, and when there is death, there are flies. And you'll have to discover the rest of the story when you buy the album for ₹2.
Okay, so leaving it up to people to buy the album and figure out the rest of the story. But that's quite interesting. How did you actually get into the space of writing stories and sort of creating these little tales with the music?
It actually began, you were involved actually. I was just getting into power metal. This was like some 5-6 years back, and I was in Planet M, and I had called you to ask you what Blind Guardian album should I pick up. I don't know if you remember this.
Vaguely.
and you said all the Blind Guardian albums on display were not really good ones. That is what you said. So I picked up King Diamond's Abigail, and that album, honestly speaking, changed my life. The very fact that an album could be more than a piece of music, it could be a story which keeps you hooked from like song 1 to song 2 to song 3 to song 4, keeps you at the edge of your seats to discover what's going to happen next. That was a concept I became fascinated with, and I was never into writing lyrics before that, but post that, lyrics became very interesting for me.
Alright, and how did you join his merry band of Albatross?
Merry band, eh?
Yes.
Nothing really. We both of us were we had plans to. We tried to start a power metal outfit quite some time back. Didn't work out because the guitarist refused to open his shoes, and he was wearing his shoes inside, and his father got freaked out. Okay, off tangent. I've been warned. Anyway, the point being, yeah, it didn't work out, and he was writing Gigi, and rather he wrote the song, and he called me up, and incidentally we were working in this. Our offices were close to each other, and he asked me to come over, and yep, he explained the whole concept to me. I was excited, and remember us recording with you, and that's how it is. And in that time, of course, he had no plans to take it live. But I remember when we were actually going back from after recording, I actually told him, that if ever this band goes live, I have to be a part of it, because I had a lot of fun doing that. Before that, I never thought I'd ever be singing, doing falsettos and stuff like that, because I'm not a big fan of. I wasn't, but yeah.
Not a Coldplay fan, probably.
But yes, that's what I thought. Yeah, if you ever have any plans, brother, I have to be a part of it.
So both your EPs, Dinner Is You as well as The Kissing Fly, feature some fantastic international collaborations. You had Andy LaRocque, who mastered your first EP, and you had Nicholas from the band Wolf. Not just mix and master, but I think he also sang on it.
He also sang on it.
So
he didn't master it. He mixed it and sang on it.
Okay, so how did these kind of come about? These collaborations?
Andy LaRocque was actually a matter of fluke, because Raj, who was our previous guitarist, who was mixing our previous EP, he said, I will mix it and I'll do a good job as long as you get like the best mastering engineer in the world to master it. And the first name I thought of was Andy LaRocque and his studios, Sonic Train Studios in Sweden. And we spoke for a bit, and he turned out to be affordable. And it was obviously a dream, because King Diamond inspired this band, like we were very, very happy with the eventual product. This time what happened is, yet again, like I'm a huge fan of this band Wolf, and the first time I heard Wolf, the first thing I thought was, man, I have to get this singer to sing one song on our like on one Albatross song at least. And then when we needed a character, a very different voice from Bipro's to play Uncle Sunny, he seemed like the perfect choice, because they have the same aesthetics when it comes to singing, a similar kind of voice, and he would fit the song like never before. And when we finally got the product, we were simply blown away. Like the last 4 lines, I had pictured them in my head. I always picture how the song is going to be in my head, but what he had done was something like I couldn't have thought of in my wildest dreams.
So Riju, how did you conceptualize the character Dr. Hex? I mean, where did it come from?
Dr. Hex is actually based upon Dr. X from the concept album, what do you call it, Operation Mindcrime from Queensryche, meets Hannibal Lecter, so to speak. So it is a tribute to the people who have influenced the music over the years, and also it's a very cheap get-up which I got for around ₹200 from the local drugstore.
So guys, I've been meaning to ask you this for a while now. Who is Uncle Sunny?
Yeah, there is a story behind it, and it might not seem as scary after all. But Uncle Sunny is the vocalist of Providence and Bhayanak Moth, and a very good friend, Sumit Revankar. And the story goes something like this. I mean, he apparently pulled a fast one on Riju. Riju, as you know, hates Twitter, and those were the days when he used to be on Twitter. And Sunny kind of announced to the world on Twitter that this fellow's dead, and people took that quite seriously. People called him up and asked him when he answered the phone, "Dude, are you dead?"
Wow. Okay.
And well, this man then, of course, he needed to get back, and he calls me and said, "I need to do something about this. I will kill this man in my song, in my story. You know what? I will name him. I will name Uncle Sunny. So he dies. That's my revenge." That's pretty much who Uncle Sunny is. Sorry, man. Sorry, Sunny.
And also, I have a very difficult time naming characters in my song. So, if you notice, in Dinner Is You, none of the characters have any names. Right? The first time I ever attempted writing a song, it was a very bad song called "It's a Haunted Place." Okay, like a horror song.
I don't know about this, but I want to sing that song.
Yeah, and I couldn't think of a character, so I called the character Bon Jovi. That's how bad I am with it.
Wow.
Even Raptor is the drummer of Wolf. And when I was writing the story down, I was chatting with Nicholas, and Raptor came online, so I thought I'll name the character, the whole town after him, Raptorsville.
So recently the Indian scene has seen a very visible divide in old school metal and new school metal, you know, and you guys obviously fall into the old school category. What's your take on all the new music and this whole division of the scene, you know, the old school versus the new school?
I don't know, I mean, I'll probably be very, I'll come across as a very politically correct person when I say this, but it's a matter of the kind of music you listen to. I love, as Riju said, I love the kind of music I've grown up with. At the same time, I am also, I mean, he's not too fond of this, of this whole thing, but I'm a huge Korn fan, and I wouldn't ever mention that in the same breath. I mean, but that's how it is. The point being, somewhere I think it's a bit overrated, this whole divide, Bangalore versus Bombay versus Delhi versus blah, old school, new school, whatever you call it. At the end of the day, you're out there playing your metal. You choose the kind of music you want to play. You're having fun. You have your devoted set of listeners. Fantastic. I mean, why? Besides all that, it's really, I mean, I don't know. At least I'm not very happy if you really have to label it that way, that old school versus new school and stuff like that.
So Riju, sorry, coming back to you again. You also played with me in workshop. You were this funny guy called the Rijunator, and why did you hang up your helmet?
There came a point where I couldn't really connect with the music, and it was fun while it lasted. Getting to tour the entire 3 cities was a lot of fun. Yeah, but there came a point where it wasn't my thing anymore, and Albatross was more my thing. I was doing exactly what I love, playing the kind of music I love, and doing well also. I think the replacement Aditya Kadam is a fantastic bassist who is 10,000 times better than I am as a bassist. So here's my endorsement.
Alright, let's get to some more fun questions. So you guys are, like I said, the pioneers of horror metal in India. But tell us your personal horror stories. What scares the bejesus out of you?
Ghosts.
Ghosts.
Terribly. I love watching horror movies, and in fact that's how again I'm connected to Albatross. But then I'm terrified. I get petrified watching a few movies. I mean, just last month I think I was watching Grave Encounters, and I actually asked my mother to come and sleep in my room next to me. Like, seriously. Seriously.
Alright. So Bipro is scared of ghosts. And Riju, rumor has it that you have a fear of eunuchs.
And dogs.
And dogs.
Yeah. So, okay, like to set the record straight, that is why I have chosen to travel by Miro cabs also, because they come, they beg you, and they touch you. So, yeah.
No, but what about, why don't you tell us one of the horror stories that you had with the transgenders?
Every time I see them from a distance, one of my friends actually suggested that I create this iPhone app called the Sixth Sense, because I know where every eunuch in Bombay is located. So it was an app which would tell you how to avoid them when you are passing. Especially in Thane, I know which road to take, and so I take longer to reach appointments. But
so Riju, tell me a little bit about this 5-city tour that you guys are planning.
So far it is 5 cities, but we plan to add a few more cities post this. So what we plan to do is we plan to start off in Chennai, then go to Bangalore, then do a gig in Thane. Then this is the highlight of our tour. We go to the Northeast for the first time. I've not been to that part of the world with any of my bands, and we play Guwahati and Shillong. So it's going to be pretty killer.
So thank you guys for being on the show. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you are ready to taste Uncle Sunny's mac and cheese that I have prepared for you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So let's go get that mac and cheese and see what Albatross has to say. Alright, so we're back now with Albatross, and I've served them up Uncle Sunny's mac and cheese. That's cheese macaroni with some bacon in it, and some grilled chicken on the side, and some nicely toasted bread. So guys, dig in and let me know what you think.
I told you I can use this.
There's a fork and knife, bro, or you don't need to do a fork and knife.
It's too new school, man. This is old school.
You're supposed to eat that with the macaroni and cheese.
See, I didn't know that. But we did. Where is it? Macaroni and cheese.
This is the macaroni and cheese. You're supposed to, it's not a dipping skirt, are you?
I don't eat.
With a fork like that.
Thank you.
This is better than the bacon bomb. Something I thought you'd never be able to achieve. You have.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much, sir.
It's been my pleasure. So there you have it. The boys from Albatross have approved Uncle Sunny's mac and cheese, and we'll see you on the next episode. Cheers and stay demonic. So Riju, you seem to have the most interesting stories. I've heard a rumor that you know about Javed Jaffri's shoe size.
Hey, no, I don't.
Tell us about this. You've already screwed yourself over. You might as well answer it.
Okay, basically I shifted to Bombay at this point, and Javed Jaffri used to host this Housey show. And Housey was like a big form of entertainment back then, in '93, when we had no other form of entertainment.
Of course, no computers then, yeah.
Yeah. So there was this one question, one episode where he had asked, guess my shoe size and win a prize, and I did, and I won a prize.
What did you know?
What was the shoe size, bud?
10.
Interesting.
How did you know?
I didn't know it was a guess. 10 isn't 10 the first number which comes to your head?
No.
Like generally.
5 is.
5? He's such a tall man.
But you asked me the first number that comes to my head.